friends who were older than me, and they came. Those who were already in Budapest, they came down, and they were more knowledgeable, and I was really very aware of it. Mm-hmm. In fact, more than my schoolmates somehow, I feel, because I was somehow. I don't want to brag about, but I was really older than my age. I always felt that I've grown up.
What caused that, do you think?
Possibly this kind of circumstances which we found ourselves in Hungary.
So do you think your brothers and sister were also a little bit more?
Possibly they knew about it. But somehow this kind of subject, it was not discussed. I mean, we have to pretend, in order to carry on living, we have to pretend that living from day to day, everything is all right for the time being.
So I don't need to slate again here because it's just a battery change.
This was a half an hour?
No, that was 20 minutes of battery change. You were saying about feeling more mature for your years. Did your schooling carry on as normal during the beginning of the war?
Yes. Yeah, the schooling went on right almost until the Germans moved in Hungary in 1944. Mm. There was no changes in the curriculum. We were still studying the greatness of our country, Hungary. But I realized it by that time, especially when our regular teacher was called into military service, or rather this labor service, which I mentioned before, and there was a substitute teacher who taught us, and he was really a bit more younger and more friendlier to the children, and he explained to us that we are not really Hungarians, and we are restricted, and we were not. Then I realized that our the culture of Hungary and the fate of Hungary is not us. Hungary is not us. We are something different than the Hungarians.
And you hadn't felt that in your as a younger child?
No, in the earlier years, I don't know how it worked, but in my mind, I thought this is not contradictory. Being Jewish and being Hungarian, one is complement each other. I think this is the most wonderful things to be a Hungarian Jew. I was very proud of the Hungarian history, and also about the Jewish history, and this doesn't contradict each other. In my childhood, I thought that the great tragedy what before our people was that Hungary was taken away territories from Hungary. Hungary became a trunk Hungary, and we were always praying for the resurrection of great Hungary, which we said it in our prayers. And another thing, that we are in diaspora as Jews. But I haven't found it anything contradictory in these two different terms.
So it sounds like it came as quite a shock to you when you suddenly...
Well, it has not come as a shock because it's not suddenly it came. It's somehow as one grows older and the situation has changed, then I gradually realized the situation. But it was not like you put it, a sudden shock.
Tell me something more about your education. You said that you were learning about the history of Hungary. What else did your school?
We learned everything what normal elementary schools they study. I mean, geography, arithmetics, and what's going world history. I was quite my favorite subject always. World history and other people, geography. I was very much interested in that. That was secular studies, and parallel we learned specific Jewish studies as I got grown older. By the age of 13, I believe, I started studying in yeshiva full time, which was in our town. Only Jewish subject, I mean Talmud.
So did the school only go up to 13, or you left it?
Well, the school went up to 14, but somehow I left at 13 because the last classes was not enough people. I don't know. Some of the children went to gymnasium, so there was not enough children left in the elementary school to have the 14-year-olds. So I left the school completely. So I really had education up to the age of 13.
And what was the name of the school?
Well, they called it just Hungarian Autonomic Orthodox State School.
Did the autonomic have any meaning in terms of the philosophy of the school?
Well, I think that defines the Orthodox community which had an autonomic existence. But as far as a subject, there was a prescribed by the Minister of Education what to learn about the general subject, general secular subject, thrown in a bit of Jewish subjects. And we had to celebrate in the school all the national Hungarian holidays, like the 15th of March, when we had to wear something, colored ribbons. That's the Independence Day. And always had the greatest respect to our great leader, Horthy. Even the rabbi came to the school to make a sermon about how significant day it is, the Hungarian independence. And though I realized that by that time this is nothing to be proud of being Hungarian, and we are not really Hungarian, but you had to pretend. We were trying at that time to show to the non-Jewish people that we are as good Hungarians as they are. In fact, my father served in the Austro-Hungarian army in the First World War, and many other adults. They were good soldiers and good Hungarians and good citizens, as far as being citizens of Hungary.
Mm. So you left your school at 13 to go to and went to yeshiva. Was it just a boys' school, or was it a?
The school itself was mixed.
Was mixed. So what happened to the girls at 13? The
girls, they usually stayed at home. I think they usually learned up to 14. I think the girls, there was more girls there in the class, so it was really with the boys who was the problem. But the girls, they learned up to the age of 14, and then I think just.
Yes, I am Sharon Tyler, and this is tape 2. Okay. We were talking about moving to yeshiva and your education there. Well, what was? Tell me a little bit about that.
No, yeshiva is a traditional way of learning boys' Talmud. It was quite a hard regime. You had to get up very early, and they had to study till the evenings. Friday afternoon and Saturday was a bit easier. But the rest of the week is quite hard learning, though I try to mix it with a little bit of playing up. But otherwise you have to take it seriously, because after end of the week there was a revision, and we had to know what we have learned.
Were you still naughty, as you put it, at this age?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about how that showed itself?
Yeah, well, what I really like to do, which I'm doing now, I like always to pick on people and teasing them, and especially when I was youngster, that was my making fun of everybody under the earth, from our seniors as well. I remember that was, and even now I've got that feeling. Sometimes when there is a comical situation, or somebody looks ridiculous, I cannot help myself not to make fun of him. And sometimes it puts me quite in an embarrassing position when the other one doesn't see the joke of it. But I did that all the time in the yeshiva.
Mm. And the yeshiva you studied at for how long?
Well, it was just 1 year, because then it started in 1944.
It would have been how long? 3, 4 years?
Normally, I think, looking at my older brothers' situation, they learned from that age up to about 18, until they start taking some jobs or getting married, almost to adulthood.
Mm. And your younger brother was following in the sort of...
My younger brother was still at school at that time.
Mm. Okay. So in the early years of the war, before Germany came into Hungary, how was your life affected? I mean, how was your life in Kapovar at that time?
Well, I don't think it was all great difference. I mean, still we had the same Shabbat meals. Every Shabbat there was a chicken on the table and fish if they managed to buy. If they caught fish, it was not like we had a fish shop which you could buy regularly. We had to wait until somebody brings in to buy it. And, the restriction on the trades, on the business, my father's business, and again that it was in wartime. There's always more opportunities to do business. So as far as financially, I don't think we were so badly off at all.
Was there a restriction on his business?
Oh yes. Certain items was not. They channeled it through non-Jewish distributors, and there were certain things. But we had such a loyal customers among the non-Jews that even when they had to go somewhere else to buy certain goods which we are not allowed to trade, for the rest of the goods they came to us because we were giving them such a good service and such honest deals, and they were very popular in our town. And being Abelesz, that was like even anti-Semitic incidents. I remember as once we were a gang of non-Jewish children said, "Oh, leave him alone, that's an Abelesz boy." So we had such a respect.
So you're talking about the wider family?
The wider family. I mean, as I mentioned before, I mean, our family business has been established in the last century, and it was known of honest trading, and they really liked and respected us, the non-Jewish people.
So your father's business was restricted in some ways, but carried on relatively normally. And you said Friday nights you had.
Friday nights the Jewish holidays were as before. I mean, Pesach we had matzahs, and we had let's say maybe there was difficulties in the last few years for Sukkot. We couldn't get the etrog, which a Jewish viewer would understand what it means, that we had that etrog, which is a citrus fruit. Where
would you have got it from?
I think usually that comes from either from North Africa or Italy, and I suppose during the war years they were just not available, or one or two somehow was in the whole country, and the people had to go to Budapest if they wanted to keep that commandment. But especially towards 1943, when the war was not working well to Hungary, when the Russians has counter-offended, and there was a lot of Hungarian casualties, and the attitude of the government has changed. One we felt there came a prime minister who was more friendlier to the Jews, and we felt that this is now, as far as the evil goes, now it's going to be an improvement. Even they were talking about that Horthy doesn't want to give in to Hitler, and we really thought by 1944 that we will survive, and the Hungarian Jews will be saved. Until it came the fateful day of 19th of March 1944.
And what do you remember about that?
Yes, I remember it just out of the blue. It was on a Sunday, and Germans' army marched through the streets because that was one of the main routes towards Budapest. And everybody was very worried that our fate is going to be like the rest of Europe. And of course there was a change of the government. The more balanced politicians has been dismissed, and has been appointed right-wing politicians. And we heard that Horthy, which at that time we looked at him as our savior, the Regent Horthy. I don't think he was such a great person, such a good person, but he knew that the war is not going in favor of the Germans, so he tried to backpedal. But unfortunately, the Germans had arrested him, and the Germans and their helpers, their supporters took over the government of Hungary. And then we knew that our fate is sealed. I remember that as a child, I saw the worried faces of my parents and everybody, the whole community, and I knew that we haven't seen what we have seen so far is nothing to what is going to come. It was very, very worrying times.
What happened?
Well, I mean, first, I think within a few weeks there was restrictions. You had to wear yellow stars, all from the age of 6 years upwards. You have to wear yellow stars.
Were they sewn on?
Sewn on. You have to cut it out from yellow materials. You have to sew on and wear it on your breast.
What did that mean for you doing that?
Well, that we should be seen as we are Jews. And we knew that this is how it started in Poland and in other countries. I knew that this is going to be our fate, the same or similar like it happened to Poland. And the restrictions, I think immediately they started, Jewish shops had to be simply closed down the Jewish shops. Professions cannot be Jewish people anymore in professions. Those who were, very few Jewish people were in the civil service, but those who were in some kind of local government or something, they were instantly dismissed. And we became really second class, even worse than second class. And then gradually, in fact in Hungary it went quite fast. By May they said that there will be Jewish houses in our town in Kapuvar. So the people who lived in the villages around it had to move into Kapuvar, and families like we were lived in the center where it was appointed as a Jewish house. We had to take in another family with us. It happened to be a relation. The Jewish communities has been disbanded, and in every town were appointed Judenrat, Jewish council, who has to take instruction directly from the German authorities.
Can you tell me some more about that? Was some of your family involved in the Judenrat?
Well, my father was also one of the members of the council.
Was that something that was appointed? Did he volunteer for that, or he was told to do that?
That I don't remember. I don't know whether he has been appointed or just volunteered. But there was, and really the Judenrat's job was really to carry out the German orders.
So it was not while it was a position of responsibility, it wasn't a very desirable.
It was not a very desirable, but I mean, this is not a unique case in Hungary. It's everywhere. They always thought and the Germans always they acted very politely as far as official capacity. And they said, this is what you have to do. You have to make a list of all the Jewish people, all the Jewish assets, just list and typing and sending into the central all kinds of reports and documentations. And as gradually things got worse, and they took off the gloves, and then they realized that the Judenrat and everything is being used as a organizing it, that it should be easier for the Germans, but it didn't serve the purpose of the Jewish community. Not that there was any other choice, but that's how it happened.
And with your father being involved in that, what was that like? How was it in your family with your father being on?
Possibly he knew more about what's happening than we did. But as far as I know, I haven't seen any difference between us and the others. We're just sitting and waiting what's going to happen. And we didn't have to wait too long. I think it was on a Saturday when we heard somehow that gendarmes has arrived in Kapuvar, because what the Germans did, not only that they did the dirty work rounding up the Jews with used the Hungarian gendarme to do that, also they moved from one place to another, that those who were known to the local population, they don't have to take part in it. But we knew that there is a squad of gendarmes came to Hungary, and they said, tomorrow morning we are going to be taken away. And it happened, they woke us up early morning, knocked on the door, pack your belongings, you only take as much as you can carry, and we are going to the school for search, whether don't take any jewelry or money, have to declare. And after a long day, We were put into wagons and we were taken to Sopron, which is a large town, into the ghetto.
But just go back up for a second to talk about you said your house became a Jewish house in Kapovar, and your relatives moved in with you. How many people moved in with you?
Well, I think a family of 5 or 6. My memory is correct.
So it became, the house had also its own yellow star. Did it became sort of?
No, I don't remember. No, I don't think there was anything outside to mark it from any other houses.
Right. But all the Jews were brought
together?
Well,
all the Jews brought together for a simple reason that it should be easier when it comes to the rounding them up. It should make it easier. Mm. But we always thought this is a stage that's where we are going to